back to another session of Daily Current Affairs. My name is Aishwarya and I am representing Gallant IAS. Let's move on to today's topic. I will be taking Biological Diversity Bill, Himachal Pradesh floods, what are the causes and how could be resolved, controlled human infection studies, that's a prelims topic. Moving on to first, Biological Diversity Bill. This is a very important topic in our general studies tree that comes in environment and ecology. Here you need to know a few things. What is the Biological Diversity Act of 2002 and why is this being amended and what are the features of this bill and what are the consequences along with it. Now, first we need to know about the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. Biological Diversity Act of 2002, which this bill, that is the Biological Diversity Bill of 2021, is aiming to amend. This Biological Diversity Act, that is BDA 2002, was actually implemented to enact our Conservation of Biological Diversity Act that was created under the Rio Summit of 1992. So, this Biological Diversity Act is implemented to give enforcement to CBD. This actually provides a sustainable use of its components and also fair and equitable sharing of resources and benefits between the local communities and other traditions. Now let us see some of the features of the BDA 2002. Okay, the Act prohibits any person, like for using some of the commodities or resources that is generated in India, any person or organization requires the prior approval of National Biodiversity Authority. It could be any resources that is occurring in India, it could be for research or any other purpose or commercial utilization, they require the prior approval of the National Biodiversity Authority. Also, it implements a three-tier structure. National Biodiversity Authority, as I told you about, works in the national level. Then the state level, we have the State Biodiversity Board and the Biodiversity Management Committee at the local levels to give approvals in the local sphere. Also, the Act stipulates all offences as cognizable and non-bailable. Okay, it has punishment, it has jail tenures and whatever punishment that comes under this or offences that a person or organization has committed is non-bailable. Now, let's see the features of what is mentioned in the bill in the Amendment Act. First, this amendment bill actually aims to boost the present Indian medicine system. It can be the fast tracking of research, patent application process. We know India is lagging behind US and China in the process of patent application. Thus, to boost the patent applications, this is a requirement. And also the transfer of research and result while utilizing the biological resources available in India as well. It also aims to seek and empower the local communities to able to utilize their resources as well. Also decriminalizing certain provisions. As I told you earlier that the punishment is cognizable and it's non-bailable. So they are decriminalizing such so that there will be just a fine and not like a non-bailable offence, and decriminalizing it such that it is more user-friendly to the people as well. Now, these changes are inter application made under the Nagoya Protocol, allowing foreign direct investments in research and development in the case of the biodiversity and fields, exempting Ayush practitioners and other traditional people from getting a prior intimidation from the State Biological Diversity Board. As I told you earlier that for any person or in any organization to get the resource in India, even for research or commercial purpose utilization, they need the prior approval of National Biodiversity Board. Now, this actually exempts Ayush practitioners or other traditional people from getting intimidation. They don't need any prior approval from now onwards. That is what the Act says. Now, this Act has equal pros and equal cons. Now, let us see the cons. Major concerns raised in this amendment. The threat of biopiracy. Now, there is exemption to Ayush practitioners. So, they may even be able to exploit the biochemical materials that is available now. They can exploit the information from the traditional practices as such. That is what is a major concern of biopiracy is told here. Marginalization of Biodiversity Management Committee. Okay, now you see all the approval here required is given by the State Biological Board. Now before this, in the local level, BMCs used to give approval for certain things. Now that power is transferred to the State Biodiversity Board, thus marginalizing the BMCs to a local level. Now sidelining the local communities. Also some of the bills exempt the cultivated medical plants, and this only allows the plants that are natural grown, but it's also difficult to identify between the two which are cultivated and which are naturally grown. That is also a major concern under this. Now large companies can evade the requirement for prior approval and share the benefit with the local communities under the access and benefit sharing provisions under this act. The large companies doesn't evade requirements, and they might even misuse all the informations and such, and they might not give the benefits that is required to the local communities as well. Now this is some of the major concerns that is raised by the amendment bill. Now this has been recently approved in our parliament. This bill was introduced in 2021. There is a lot of controversies going around it, but despite all these controversies, this bill was currently passed. Some of the committees we can see in the future, some committees or recommendations may even come on this to resolve these issues as well. Now moving on to our next topic, Himachal Pradesh floods. This is also important topic of floods, natural disaster kind is important in our environment ecology and also in our disaster management. Now I will be talking specifically about Himachal Pradesh here. So we will look into the flash floods in Himachal Pradesh has already caused about 150 deaths. Within this year itself, it has caused 150 deaths and estimate total asset loss of rupees 10,000 crore. In the last 5 years, up till 2022, about 1,550 people have already died and asset loss, and like 12,000 plus houses were also damaged in the last 5 years, specifically in the Himachal Pradesh area. As per the Governmental Panel of Climate Change Report 6, in India, Himachal and the coastal regions are the hardest hit by climate change. So these are some of the main key facts the author is mentioning to us. Now, there are some things which we need to know in the case of Himachal Pradesh around. We know Himachal Pradesh is situated in the Himalayan regions. Himalayas, we know, is a younger kind of mountain formation. It is very unstable, and whatever construction or activities which are doing there would lead to prone kind of natural disaster as well. So in a state like Himachal Pradesh, what was done? In the 1970s, if you are looking, they have actually started Dr. Parmal model. This Dr. Parmal was the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh during that time. To develop Himachal Pradesh, he brought out the Dr. Parmal model, with which they focused on land reforms, robust state-led social welfare programs and such, and emphasis on human resources. With all the programs they have maintained, they emerged as the second topper in the social development index. Also by the 1980s, by the implement of all these models, they were actually able to get electricity. All the houses in Himachal Pradesh were electrified in 1980s. Also there was healthcare centers, there are a number of schools increased, the agricultural development was also ensured in this area. Now this is what happened in Himachal Pradesh during the 1970s, 1980s. Now cut to chase, this is what happened when there was a liberal model going on there. They were able to establish their own revenue and their own source. So the central government stated that the state now needs to manage their own physical resources. Thus, forced to generate their own resources for physical management. Now, because they are dependent on their own, they are independent, they started to panic and they started exploiting the natural resources. They exploited the forest, the tourism center, the cement production, everything became the focus of development in the Himachal Pradesh. Now, exploiting these were social welfares. Now, cut for the resources and more revenue generation, they started exploiting. Now, this is what happened during the expansion process. There were rapid construction of hydropower projects and widening of roads, creating like 2-lane to 4-lane roads, single lane to multiple lane roads. This is what happens in the case of widening of roads. Also, the expansion of cement plants, and this altered the land use pattern and shifting of agriculture. These are the 4 reasons that are primarily mentioned by the author of what happened in a state like Himachal Pradesh. Now let us look these 4 separately on how it actually affected Himachal Pradesh. First, hydropower projects. Now this led to their expansion into this. They started expanding projects, uncontrolled construction happened. They transformed the mountain rivers into Miyachim. For hydropower projects, we need to actually transfer the mountain river through a tunnel to form a string, so that under this tunnel system they could actually generate electricity. Last time I told you about in the Indus Water Treaty and the run-of river projects like Kishan Ganga and Rattle project in the China. The similar kind of run-of-the-river project dams were created where the mountain rivers were diverted through a tunnel to form streams so that they could generate hydropower electricity. Now, so what happens in the case where the run-of-dam projects are inverted? This diverts the water from the main river through a tunnels burrowed in the mountains. Now, when you divert it, the mud comes along with the building materials like muck and all comes along with the rivers and stream as well and get deposited along the river beds. Okay. Now this is a very destructive process when it comes to flood and rains and all. This get dissolved in the water and cause further damages as well. Now this destructive process is evident in other rivers like Satluj, Bias and Parvati also. This is what happened in these rivers as well. When we are constructing long tunnels, like tunnels ranging up to 150 kilometers, which are planned for large rivers, it causes not only harm to human beings, but also to the entire water ecosystem that depends upon the river as well. Now presently there are 168 hydropower projects which worth up to 10,000 megawatts of electricity generation. Now cut to chase, by 2030, about 1088 hydroelectric power plant would come by 2030, could even generate more than 23,000 megawatts of electricity. So this is what the author says about the hydropower plants. Now in tourism, like to develop tourism, we need many attractive sites, we need roads that actually attracts the tourists. So for that they actually expanded the development of project. The transforming 2-lane roads to 4-lane roads, single lane to 2-lane road. This is what was done in the road widening projects. Also they promote tourism, they driven road expansion tourism and attracting a large number of visitors. This was a main key area for tourism in Himachal Pradesh. Also for the construction of the fast-paced roads and widening of the projects, they neglected the essential geological studies of that area and mountain engineering. So see here, where we are actually in traditional way, if we are actually constructing a road in a mountain, we don't actually vertically divide the mountain and construct the road. What we do is that we make a step-like pattern so that there is ecological balance in that area, and also the road construction takes place smoothly in that area. But nowadays what they are doing is, they are in the mountain, they are cutting it vertically, which means that they are unstable. Even if a normal rain comes there or a normal rainfall happens there, it tends to cause landslide. Thus, see, already the materials are loose there. Even in a small normal rain, it cannot withstand landslide. So what happens in the case of a heavy rain or avalanche, cloudburst and all. So this is what is happening in areas like Manali and Shimla. For creation of 4-lane road projects and all, the mountain has been cut vertically, leading to massive landslides and damaging to the existing road. If these roads get damaged also, it takes lot of months and years to reconstruct it as well. That is what is happening in the case of tourism and what Himachal Pradesh like a state is facing now. Now, I told you about cement plants. Now, there are like 3 cement plants in Himachal Pradesh like Bilaspur, Sol and Chamba cement plants, etc. And these usage of cement plants, they change the land use pattern, contributing to flash floods. The cement plants actually alter the natural landscape that was there in Himachal Pradesh and removes the vegetation, leading to reduced capacity of the land to absorb any excess water. Also, there is change in the cropping patterns, like there is shift in both land holdings and the produce in case of agriculture. Also, they started embracing more of cash crops rather than the cereal type of traditional crops, and now these cash crops are more perishable, because of which they need to be transported to the location within a short period of time. For this transport to happen, the roads need to be perfect. So they hastily construct the roads without even looking into the geographical type and essential land, without creating proper drainage. Also, this lead to creation of dumping mucks, that is a building material, construction material on the side of the road as well. Now all this leads to what I call about Himachal Pradesh, problems happening in Himachal Pradesh as a state. Now to counter this, we need a new planning method, a new type of planning method which is alternative to a climate change, can withstand the climate change, and also give the people compensation for whatever the loss they have come. So these are some of the solutions that the author mentions in this article. Now moving forward, we have controlled human infection studies. This is the last topic of today. It is related to science and technology. Now this India is actually trying to take the first step towards introduction of controlled human infection studies. So what is CHIS? So intentionally, it is actually the process of intentionally exposing a perfectly healthy human being to pathogens, so that they could study about how it evolves inside the body, they could make drugs, they could make proper treatments to it. So that is what is called CHIS. India doesn't have a correct regulum for this. So we are actually, India is taking the first step towards introducing CHIS. This method is already there in many other developed countries like Europe, US and all, even there in China. Okay, so India is actually taking the first steps now. It is intentionally exposing a perfectly healthy human being to a controlled environment where pathogens are there. It could be bacterial, like bacterial, virus, anything like influenza or rabies or even Zika virus. Everything will be pathogenated into the human body to develop vaccines and treatment. This helps identify the disease pathogenesis, and we can find efficient and cost-effective ways to actually prevent the spread and actually create perfect treatment methods for this device. But you see there are many ethical issues in this. Well, like you see, ethically sensitive, because it's a very sensitive issue. You are actually exposing certain pathogens to a perfectly healthy human being. So there is ethical concern to be developed. Disappropriate payment, you might even, like, this is a very healthy hazard disease, you might be even like paid like 2,000 or 3,000, or you might be paid a heavy sum of machine to actually undergo this pathogenation into your body without the, like, it may be a risk to life or a loss of life for us. Well, third party risk. So you see, this kind of pathogenation or experiments is taking place in a laboratory. What if there is a contaminant breach, like what happened in China? We are witnessing COVID for last 3 years because of an issue similar to that. So there is third party risk in the similar way. Research with vulnerable participants, that is also an issue. Vulnerable participants, they are very in need for a money. So you are offering money for this research, means that is also an ethical issue to the same. Technical and clinical challenges are also present because our technology is not yet stable for that too. So this Indian Council of Medical Research Bioethics Unit actually opened it for public comments. If we want such a system in India to develop or not, to address the ethical concern, the aim is to actually conduct, what this ICMR wants is to actually conduct research in India while protecting the human participant and ensuring ethical principles are upheld in India. So this is the 3 topics for today, and that is the end of today's slide. Thank you. Have a nice day. We will meet again tomorrow. If you want this PDF, you can get in our Telegram channel, Gallant IAS Padashala. Thank you.